You ever have one of those mornings that starts out so calm, it almost feels suspicious, like the universe is holding its breath, waiting to see what kind of nonsense is about to hit you? That's how my day began. Sun barely up, sky all soft pink and gold. Just me out there tightening a fence post by the pasture, nothing but the sound of horses snorting and the breeze stirring the cedar. And then, crunch, 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 gravel under tires, slow and sure, right up my drive. My stomach dropped before I even turned around, like some prehistoric alarm going off in my gut. And sure enough, there it was, a white SUV creeping up to my gate like a shark circling bait. I swear the air got colder. She stepped out, hair so sharply bobbed you'd think she ordered it from a hardware store, sunglasses so big you could see your own reflection in them, and of course a clipboard clutched tight like she was about to issue a parking ticket to God himself. I didn't have to see her name tag. The universe only makes one kind of woman like this. You know what I mean, Karen. She called out with that chirpy, fake-friendly authority. Excuse me, I just leaned on my shovel, already bracing myself for the storm. This is private property, I said. She gave me that tight, closed-lipped smile, the kind that says, I know better than you. No, I mean this area. This subdivision is managed by the Silver Creek HOA, and I don't believe you're allowed to have livestock here. Well, my horses must have been listening because they snorted like they were in on the joke. Ma'am, this isn't Silver Creek. This is my ranch, 200 acres, and none of it's your business. She looked down at her clipboard like it might rise up and save her flipping pages, lips twitching. That can't be right. I've been assigned to this district for months. You need to remove the fencing extension immediately. It violates HOA visual guidelines. You ever try to explain geography to a brick wall? That's about how it felt. I sighed and said, You might want to double-check your map. My fence isn't under your jurisdiction. That set her off. Her voice sharpened like she'd just stepped in something. Sir, if you refuse to comply, I'll have to escalate this. We take community harmony very seriously. Harmony? Huh? I almost laughed. Out here, harmony means fixing your own fences and letting your neighbors do the same, but she was already whipping out her phone. If you won't identify yourself, I'll have to report this as a possible trespass situation. And just like that, she started dialing. That's when I walked a step closer, kept my voice steady. You're calling 911 on the guy who owns the land he's standing on. She didn't answer, just turned away, already telling the dispatcher, Yes, I'm at the property line on Ridge Road. There's a man with livestock refusing to leave. I stood there letting it sink in. The sheriff's office knows me. They've been out here for coffee more times than I can count. But I guess Karen figured she was the sheriff now. If only I knew then that little phone call was the start of something bigger. 15 minutes later, here comes the cavalry, a county sheriff's SUV, sunlight glinting off the hood tires, hissing on gravel. Karen's still pacing by my gate phone pressed to her ear, writing on her clipboard like she's building a case for the Supreme Court. I spot the deputy through the windshield, Tom. We grew up together, played ball, snuck beers behind the high school gym. The look on his face said it all. What fresh hell is this? Karen's on him the second he steps out. Officer, thank goodness. This man is trespassing on HOA property and refusing to remove illegal livestock. Tom blinks, looks from me to her and back again. Trespassing, ma'am? That's John Parker. He owns this land. Karen's face. God, if looks could kill, stiffens right up. That's not possible. This isn't his land. This area is regulated by Silver Creek, HO. Tom scratches his head, trying hard not to grin. Ma'am, this ranch is well outside HOA jurisdiction. You're standing on private property. And just like that, the cracks started showing. First a tiny tremor, then deeper. No, that's not right. My GPS shows. Your GPS is wrong. I cut in deadpan. Try walking about 2 miles east. You'll know you're there when you see vinyl fences and zero common sense. Tom snorts, covers it with a cough. Karen, getting desperate, insists I have authority to issue citations. Tom's tone goes gentle, but he doesn't budge. You don't have authority here, ma'am. And since you entered private property after being told not to, I could technically consider you trespassing. That finally shuts her up. For a second, the only sound is the wind in the grass and her acrylic nails drumming the clipboard. Then she straightens her jacket, gives a brittle smile. There's clearly been a misunderstanding. I'll verify with the office. Tom looks at me, raises a brow. You good, John? All good, I say, grinning. Karen stomps back to her SUV cheeks. Bright red tires spinning a little gravel at my boots as she peels out. I thought that'd be the end lesson learned, right? But you know how it is, folks like Karen, when they lose control, they don't back off, they double down. Next morning, bright and early there, it is a neon orange violation notice nailed right to my front gate, flapping in the breeze like a flag of idiocy. Big block letters. Notice of violation unauthorized agricultural structures. Livestock presence. Unapproved fencing. Immediate compliance required. At the bottom, her signature, Karen L. Simmons, HOA Compliance Chair, all elegant curls and deadly intent. I laughed so hard my coffee almost came out my nose. She'd actually driven out here again just to put that thing on my gate on my land. By noon, I had 3 missed calls from an unknown number and 1 voicemail that started with, "This is a final attempt to reach you before legal escalation." So I called her back. "Silver HOA, this is Karen, all clipped and sugary. Hi, Karen. John Parker. You left me a little love note this morning." Dead air for a second, then she comes in hot. "Mr. Parker, you're in violation of several community ordinances." I couldn't resist. "Community ordinances for a community I don't even live in." She snapped. "I've personally verified the boundary maps. Your property line overlaps the association's jurisdiction by at least 50 feet. "Really?" I said, glancing at my land survey, the one I wrote myself when I built Silver Creek. There was a long pause, then she tries again. "I'll be escalating this to our management company." "Please do," I said, grinning. "They've got my number on speed dial." She hung up before I could add, "Because I own them." The next week turned into a bureaucratic circus violation notices for everything non-compliant livestock, unauthorized mailbox, operating a business because my tractor was parked out by the barn. It got so ridiculous I started looking for the hidden cameras. And then, of course, came the drone. I'm out feeding horses, and I hear this buzzing. Look up, and there it is, little quadcopter hovering camera pointed right at me. I waved, smiled for the lawsuit, and snapped a picture with my phone. Sent it straight to my lawyer, who called back 5 minutes later, laughing. "You know the HOA's management office, right?" "Yeah," I said. "Still own 20% of the holding company." He laughs again. "Guess who's been copying you on every single complaint email? Karen's been spamming the executive board, and you're getting every one." She had no idea who she was dealing with. That Monday, I decided to end the show. I cleaned up, grabbed my file of property records, and drove to the Silver Creek HOA office. Glass walls, fake plants, whole place smelled like Lysol and Ego. And there she was behind the desk, hair sprayed to perfection, eyes narrowed, posture stiff. "Mr. Parker, you're not permitted to be here without an appointment." "Don't worry," I said. "I'm here for the meeting." Her forehead wrinkled. "What meeting?" I flashed the email chain she'd been CC'd herself. "The one your management company scheduled this morning." For a second, she looked lost. "Well, it's a closed session. Homeowners only." "I am a homeowner," I said, "and technically your management company's executive client." That was about when the regional manager, Carl, opened the boardroom door and spotted me. "John, you made it. Come on in." Karen's jaw dropped. Clipboard thunked against the counter. Inside the board sat around a shiny table, suddenly aware of who just walked in. Carl introduced me, former owner of the development firm, part owner of the management company, yada yada. Pin drop silence. Karen stood by the door, white as a sheet. I wasn't informed of that, she whispered. I know, I said. But you've been very proactive. I wanted to thank you for your dedication. Carl cleared his throat. John, we reviewed the complaints. All of them are invalid. And the use of HOA resources outside jurisdiction. That's a policy violation. Karen's eyes bounced around the room, desperate. I was just doing my job. You can't fire someone for trying to keep order. Carl shook his head. Karen, you called 911 on a property owner, flew a drone over private land, ignored multiple notices. That's not order. She looked at me, a flicker of real fear in her eyes. You could stop this. You know I didn't mean any harm. I held her gaze. You meant control, and that's not your job here. Carl slid a resignation notice across the table. Her hand shook as she picked it up. She glanced at me one more time, glassy-eyed, then walked out. But as the door closed, Carl tried a nervous smile. That should be it, right? But people like Karen, they don't just fade out. 2 days passed. The land felt different, lighter somehow, like the place itself was relieved. Then came her last gasp of voicemail. Her voice shook, but she tried to sound tough. I hope you're proud. You humiliated me, but you'll regret this. Everyone will know what kind of man you really are. I just shook my head. My dog looked up like he understood. I patted his head. She's just barking, buddy. But I called Carl just in case. She's calling every hour, says she'll go to the news, he sighed. Let her, I said. Truth's on record. But Karen wasn't done. Next morning, a black sedan pulled up county zoning department. Mr. Parker, you've been accused of illegally expanding your barn onto protected land. He showed me a detailed report, photos taken by her drone. I smiled. Take a look at section 14B, those coordinates. That's county property, and the drone launched from inside an HOA over private land cross-jurisdiction. His eyes widened. That's a felony. By sunset, my lawyer called, You're going to like this. She's under investigation for harassment and unlawful surveillance. The HOA filed a restraining order on your behalf. I walked out on my porch, sun setting over the pasture, air sweet and calm. Horses grazing, world finally quiet. My phone buzzed, unknown number last time. I let it go to voicemail. Played it back. Her voice was softer, almost honest. I didn't know who you were. I was just trying to do things right. I'm sorry. I didn't save it. Didn't need to. Some lessons teach themselves. I leaned on the railing, let the wind wash over me, and smiled. Out here, the only rules that matter are the ones written in dirt and sweat and a little patience, and if you're lucky, a little bit of mercy. And Karen, well, she finally learned you can't fence in someone who already owns the land. If this story made you laugh, made you mad, or just reminded you of some HOA nonsense you've dealt with, smash that subscribe button, like Karen smashed her own career. Drop a comment, share your story. What's the wildest run-in you've had with an HOA, or do you think justice was served here? Out here, the debate's as wide open as the land.